What's up, guys? It's the director. For all you guys that go to Wikipedia to find your cold hard evidence, this video is for you. We're gonna take a look at what the NFL 2020 season for the Chargers would look like with Cam Newton under center in a Madden simulation video. I've checked all the data, trust me, it's reliable. I know it's just a Madden simulation, but it's all in good fun. Let's check out what this season would look like. Let's take a look at the roster, how it currently is with Tyrod Taylor. What I want to do is just do one like sim with Tyrod Taylor, a really fast one, and we'll get to the Cam Newton one just so we can kind of compare. This guy right now, his name is Minimum. He's here because you have the minimum of players you can have in the game at one time. So there you go, Mr. Minimum. But take a look at this offensive line, man. Pouncey, Turner, Bulaga, fantastic additions to the offensive line in Turner and Bulaga. Austin Eckler now the #1 running back on our squad. Then obviously we need to find a wide receiver 3. I think we're going to go check out free agency in a second, see if we can fill that spot before we get started with this sim. Then we got brand new additions, Nick Virgin? Nick Vigil, not a bad signing by Tom Telesco, actually on the really super cheap too, so very nice signing by him. And then Linval Joseph, a very nice addition this year, dude. 86 overall in this team. He's a true run stuffer, but I think the real star signing was Chris Harris Jr. Oh my, Chris Harris Jr. Red X Factor activated. This guy's gonna be so good. I did hear a rumor that they wanted to change Chris Harris Jr. to the slot and then put Desmond King up at free safety. I don't know about that, man. I want to see what Nasir Adderley would play like, you know, in this season. He didn't really get to play last year with injury, and he should be pretty decent. So we're just going to keep Desmond King here at the slot cornerback position and see how this team rolls out. But real quick, let's go check out the free agency pool to see if we can maybe address a couple of different positions before we get started. Maybe help Tyrod Taylor out just a little bit. I'm going to try remain as realistic as possible. We could definitely still afford Jason Peters, you know, 7.6 mil right here. Sure, why not? We can definitely shore up that offensive line just a little bit more. Let's also take a look at maybe the wide receivers too. See if there's somebody we can put in there in the slot to help them out. But I would 100% think that they're going to do this through the draft. So this is more for example purposes. AJ Nelson, I think that's pretty fair. A 70 overall. Just slide him into wide receiver 3, see what happens. I like that. This is all for fun anyway. So don't nobody go in the comment section getting angry. And with that, there's your starting roster. I'm gonna go change one thing. Everything about this sim is gonna remain pretty much default. But the one thing I'm gonna change, because this is always ridiculous when I do stuff like this, is the injury rate. Every single game when its injury rate isn't turned down to at least 14 or 13, I tend to lose like 3 or 4 guys. So no, we're not going to be messing with that. Let's take this all the way down to, yeah, 13. 13 sounds pretty fair. All right, boys and girls, let's get into this. Remember, 6-minute quarters. I think everything, you guys know how a normal Madden simulation looks like. Let's sim to the playoffs real quick. The Cam Newton one will be a little bit longer, more in detail, but I just want to see what Tyrod Taylor would look like under center. You know, according to Madden speak. Just like that, we've simmed through week 17. Let's see how the Chargers did. 8-8. You know what? That seems pretty realistic of what could genuinely happen with this new roster with Tyrod Taylor under center. Let's go see how he did stat-wise. What are we looking at for Tyrod Taylor? Okay, we're getting a good little preview right there. 3,800 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. Honestly, that seems pretty realistic to me. Maybe the touchdowns a tad high. 27 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Let's see what he did on the ground at the rushing yards. 87 attempts for 329 yards and 4 touchdowns. That honestly all seems super fair. I'm going to say that that's pretty close to what I think could actually happen. So, I mean, not too, again, maybe a tad high, maybe just a little bit high, but I like that. Tyrod Taylor, that's kind of a good idea. What about the rest of the team? What do they look like with Tyrod Taylor under center? 861 yards for Mike Williams, 4 touchdowns. 805 yards for Keenan Allen, 7 touchdowns. This all seems pretty realistic to me. The only thing I would say is maybe Austin Eckler gets a little bit more, maybe like 500 yards, you know, and like, I don't know, it could be as much as 5 or 6 touchdowns. He's honestly kind of a beast. But I like that, man. I think that's a good simulation. Let's get into Cam Newton's. We're going to take that one a little bit slower to see how he does on a weekly basis, maybe like every 3 or 4 weeks. All right, here we go again. Everything is exactly the same, minus this time we're going to go make an important free agent signing for a man by the name of Mr. Cam Newton. Now, I'm going to be honest in saying that I don't think the Chargers are going to sign this guy for $18 million. I think if this happens, it's going to have to be a very generous prove-it deal. And I think Cam Newton would be maybe very smart to take it. Now, what is it? I don't know. It could be, like I was saying in my other video, it could be like $8 million, which seems super low. But, I mean, it's Tom Telesco we're talking about, the Coupon Tom God. He might be able to make it happen. If I were to make a prediction on it, however, I think it would be closer to the realm of like $12 million. they might have to move some money and some pieces around, but that's just me. This is more for fun. We're going to see how this all operates under Cam Newton. In this scenario, I'm not going to cut Tyrod Taylor. We're going to go ahead and keep him on the roster. I do expect the Chargers to draft somebody this upcoming season, whether it's be in like the first round for like a Tua or a Herbert, or in a later round for like a Jalen Hurts or like a Fromm or something. We'll have to wait and see. But for now, we're just going to roll out with Cam Newton, Tyrod Taylor, and Easton Stick and see how they do. In this instance as well, I'm going to say we're not going to be able to afford another left tackle, at least out of free agency. Again, honestly, I think we can get somebody like Austin Jackson in the draft, maybe, you know, at the beginning of the second round or something like that. But that's who I'm going to roll out with. I'm going to get rid of this P minimum guy, and we're going to get started with this simulation. Oh, and I'm also going to pick up JJ Nelson again, just to make sure like all the variables are like pretty much the same as what we had with Tyrod Taylor. And with that, there's your starting lineup. We're going to put Virgil Green down here at fullback because we got to get rid of minimum guy. We got Cam Newton in there, 79 overall. Then on defense, everything pretty much exactly the same as well. So let's get into this first batch of simulation and see how Mr. Cam Newton does in Los Angeles. We're gonna take a live look at what the first game is gonna look like. Let's take a live look at like the first game, maybe like this 8th game and the last game. I think that's pretty fair. We'll see how he's looking in between as well. But we're gonna go into sim mode here, and we're just gonna sim to the end of the game here. I haven't really done any simulation stuff in the past, but I hope this is entertaining. Looks like the Chargers up 21-0. Remember, I didn't change really anything other than downloading the custom roster and changing the injury stat. That is it. This is all the rest of the game. Right now, the Chargers crushing. Oh man, that means Phillip Rivers is on that team. Feels a little bit bad, dudes. With that, the Chargers absolutely crush the Indianapolis Colts. 8 tackles and a sack for Denzel Perryman. Good to see him back on the field. Take a look and see what the stats looked like in Cam Newton's first game under center for his brand new team. Phillip Rivers throws for 346 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception, and then Cam Newton throws for 207 yards and 3 touchdowns, all again seeming pretty realistic. Rushing, we didn't see any Cam Newton on the ground, did we? 17 yards, so not much there. Austin Eckler coming out with a 100-yard game. First game of the year, looking pretty good. The Chargers are not going to have a lot of passing yards on this or receiving yards just because Cam Newton only threw for 200 yards, so not too bad. 2 touchdowns for Hunter Henry. Mike Williams 26, then Keenan Allen with 46 and a tutty. So honestly, not bad, Cam Newton. Not bad for your first game. 207 yards. Seemed like we really leaned on the run game this game, and I feel like that is something that we're probably going to see in Los Angeles next year. I think Anthony Lynn really wants to get the ground game up and running at full speed and full capacity. I feel like that's something we could definitely see in real life next season. On to week number 2 versus the Lions. Let's see how Cam Newton comes out his second game after such an impressive performance his first game. Let's check and see what that game looked like. Another win for the Chargers, 24-8. I'm really impressed with how much our defense is stepping up here. They still have Stafford out there. He's pretty nice. Tyrod Taylor actually in for some passing, maybe towards the end there. We got ourselves a Cam Newton, 192 yards and 2 touchdowns in passing with 1 interception, so not too bad. What about rushing here for Cam Newton? Did he get any yards on the ground? 3 carries for 8 yards, so keep him pretty conservative. I don't think I would expect Cam Newton to run as much as he has in the past if he were to sign with the Chargers this year. Next up, versus the Houston Texans, another huge win. Wow, 42 points. 42 points. Let's just take a look at the Chargers here. 269 yards, 4 touchdowns for Cam Newton. Rushing, we've got 23 for 81 and a tutty for Austin Eckler. Then Cam Newton, 2 for 7 and a rushing score. So that definitely boosted the stats there a little bit. My goodness, so far, I'm pretty impressed with what I'm seeing with Cam Newton. Now let's go ahead and skip over to week 8. Get a live look at what his form would look like at mid-season. See if Cam Newton can still hold up this really crazy winning streak with the Chargers. I'll be honest, the Chargers have maybe some favor in franchise mode. I've been a Chargers fan a long time. Every year I play Madden, I'm like, wow, dude, we're getting like hella RNG in our favor, but that's okay, man. I feel like it's all in good fun. Let's see what Cam Newton looks like halfway through the season. 2,000 yards, 173 completions on 241 attempts, 22 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. On the rushing, we got 24 attempts for 97 yards and a score. Again, all seems super realistic. I think that that's actually something we could definitely notice. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of our receiving options here as well. How is he spreading the ball out? Cam Newton so far, 550 for Keenan Allen, 4 touchdowns, 484, so he definitely favors that tight end. He's going to get that Greg Olsen replacement out here in Hunter Henry. I'm going to say a better version of Greg Olsen just because he's a bit younger. Then Cantrell stepping up again as a wide receiver 3. Mike Williams, 357, 3 tutties. And then Austin Eckler, 218, 4 tutties. Just imagine, you know, Cam Newton, he really relied on, again, Greg Olsen and then also Christian McCaffrey, you know, in that passing game. I think Austin Eckler is such a good replacement, at least for Cam Newton, you know, to kind of still give him what he had out there in Carolina, at least a little bit. So with that, let's go ahead and actually take a look at what this game looks like live. Let's see if Cam Newton can put on a show versus the Green Bay Packers. All right, here we go. The Chargers versus the Packers. We're going to go to the end of game right here and see how things shake out. So far, the Chargers on the move on offense. It looks like we got a turnover, and now we're keeping it going. 14 points. Looks like Green Bay's starting to catch up. Can the Chargers keep this thing close? Here we go, 21 points. We're in the third quarter. The Chargers get back on the board, 17-28. Looks like this one's put away, boys, unless the Chargers can make a big stop right here, and they can't. They're going to lose this one to the Green Bay Packers. But you know what? So far, so good for Cam Newton. 28-20. Not bad. Let's take a look at his stats here. Cam Newton, how did he perform against the Green Bay Packers? Aaron Rodgers having himself a game there. 297 yards, 1 touchdown. Got to get those touchdown numbers up. And then Cam Newton, 4 attempts for 13 yards. So definitely not as efficient on the ground as we would like to see. Hunter Henry coming out again with a lot of passing yards, 63 yards, almost leading the team there. Mike Williams, Cantrell again with 66 yards. Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler looking pretty good too. And then Jeremy Davis. Where is this guy that we signed? He's just yet to make an appearance in this video. That's hilarious. He's right there. So, I mean, I don't know. But as realistic as it may be, the Chargers currently lead the AFC West at 7-2, even with that loss to the Green Bay Packers. Let's go ahead and sim all the way to the playoffs and see how the Chargers will fare against the Kansas City Chiefs. We know we're going to have to go through them. We know we're going to have to go through them. And just like that, the Chargers are in the wild card. Take a look at the final here. 12-4 under Cam Newton. The Chargers just went 12-4. We did get beat out just barely again by the Chiefs, similar to last season. I should say the season before that. 13-3. Let's check the year-end stats for our boy Cam Newton. 4,000 yards. That's just great. 4,200 yards, 39 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions under the Chargers. Offensive scheme. I really like that, man. I don't know if that's too far away from what we would see. I do think somewhere in the realm of 4,000 yards. Probably really high on the touchdowns. I'm not going to lie. Almost 40 touchdowns. There's no way. I would say probably maybe just under 30, maybe just over 30, maybe 32 touchdowns optimistically is what I'm thinking. But not bad, Madden. Not bad. What about on the ground? Taking a look at Cam Newton. 51 carries, 228 yards, 3 touchdowns. I can definitely dig it, dude. I like the way he operates under that. And the 934, Austin Eckler, 7 touchdowns. Justin Jackson getting in on the action. 224 yards, 7 touchdowns. I bet you 6 of those were vultured from Austin Eckler, but I really like that, man. This is without any of the rookies. This is without any of the NFL draft prospects coming in here. This is just flat out what the Chargers have to work with right now with no rookies involved. So I honestly really like that. Receiving, Keenan Allen leads the team, 1,085 yards, 6 touchdowns. Cantrell came out of nowhere. 1,030 yards, 13 touchdowns. Hunter Henry with 820 and 9. Mike Williams with 743 and 4. Austin Eckler with almost 405. I think that's getting pretty close to what he would actually have. I would say more closer to 506, but not too bad than Kendricks, Justin Jackson, and so forth. So not too bad. Let's take a look at Cam Newton. Let's see how he fares in this wild card playoff game. If he makes it past this, if he makes it, let's say, to the conference round, we'll go ahead and sim that game, in game. So let's see what it looks like. Can we make it past the 10-6 Bills with Cam Newton? No, it looks like this is the end of Cam Newton's journey for the 2020 Los Angeles Chargers. But my point here being, it's fun. It's a topic of conversation right now. Cam Newton to the Chargers, all over Twitter. It's all over Chargers Facebook pages and, Reddit pages and stuff like that. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to see what it would look like. But in the end, I mean, what were we, 12-4? That's not bad, dude. That's definitely not bad with Cam Newton, and definitely the comparison between him and Tyrod. That's just what Madden thinks might happen. Well, at least hope this was entertaining for you guys. I don't do a lot of simulation videos, but I thought this one would be kind of fun given, all of the rumors and stuff spreading around. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. If you like these videos, hit us up with a like and sub. This has been The Director, and as always, stay frosty.